That's
taxes.
right, and they're contiguous properties. They do not pay taxes. So that when you take all of those off, many of them are residential and commercial. The commercial rate, of course, is higher. Then what happens? Then the rest of us must pay sales tax on everything. Now we pay sales tax on baby food, but we don't pay it on horse food.
Okay.
So I think that's one of the issues that we've got to look at: is can we take taxes off food? But if you take that tax off, then how do we accommodate the absence of that tax? That's what that tax committee is looking at. I'm in the process now of putting a meeting together in the community because in the middle of the day, most of the average citizens are at work. They can't go to the legislative plaza. So what I've asked our comptroller to do is to accommodate me by coming out and just sharing with the community what he has shared with the committee. And that's not a pro or con for any kind of tax, but I think our citizens need to know.
Yes,
and they need to know where those exemptions are, and they can help us to remove them. You know, what we need to do is know where they are, look at them, remove them, so that, and then you can really see how much money is needed to run
They do
government.
represent a substantial part of the income because just those 3 areas that you mentioned, and you think about all of those.
That's exactly right. Look at your hospitals and so. Those are large property owners, and they pay no taxes. But we still have an educational system that's in need. I think you know the primary focus has been on education. In 1992, we passed what's called the BEP, the Basic Education Improvement Plan, and it's about fully funded now. We have TennCare that is just an albatross around our neck. I think the concept was good, but it's completely
It's not working out.
It's
It's not working out.
No, it's not. And absent of TennCare, then we go back to the old system. And what we're talking about is additional revenue. TennCare was designed for the uninsured and the uninsurable. We are not meeting the challenge. And I think you know there are many companies. What we did as a state, we privatized health care. And what we've done, we put some people out of business. You know, they were running a good business. We asked them to come in and take on TennCare, and we have effectively put them out of business. And that's unfortunate, and it's unfair. But that's one portion of, one segment of what we're looking at. We have some other issues that deal with us globally. I don't know if you're aware, if our listeners are aware, that Nashville, Tennessee has become #1. We have taken over first place in the syphilis population. We have more syphilis in Nashville than anywhere else in the country. Baltimore, Maryland was #1. We were #2, and Memphis was #3. We are now #1. So we're doing an initiative with the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. We're doing an initiative where we are going to do a global informational workshops and working session and awareness campaign to eradicate syphilis across the country, but more particularly here in Nashville and in Tennessee. You know, that's one stigma that a city would not want, and a state. You know, if we're #1 and Baltimore is #2 and Memphis is #3, that doesn't say very much about us.
Not at all.
And much of it is a lack of education. So we are launching that initiative. And we're going to make it work. I have the privilege of serving as chair of the Women's Health Issues Committee in the legislature. So we had adopted an initiative on depression. I think you know that depression is running rampant among us. And many things that are misdiagnosed should be diagnosed as depression. And it's a national thrust. So we're working on depression. And with we had a healthcare summit just 3 weeks ago. And that's when we learned that we had taken over the first place with syphilis. So the state health department, the local health department, and the CDC out of Atlanta, Georgia, all of us are combining our efforts to assure that we know what we're doing and that we can eliminate, because syphilis, I think our listeners probably know that it causes stillbirth and it causes deformed babies and it leads into HIV. So what we're trying to do is make the community aware and look at the population, and the drug population is generally where the carrier is the greatest. If we can make them aware of what's going on, then there's medication. You know, it is a disease, it's a communicable disease, but it's one that can be controlled.
Very good. And let us at this point, Senator, take this first commercial break
All right.
and tell our audience that we'll be back.